Alright guys, so not too long ago we made a video on the real reason Kite became an ant and Meruem's twin sister, and from that a lot of you left unhappy, mainly due to the poor job in actually explaining how Kite became a Chimera Ant and ultimately Meruem's sister. In that video we covered Kite's Nen ability and weapon Crazy Slot. We then summarized that his Crazy Slot ability has the potential to generate certain random numbers, which gives him a corresponding weapon associated to that specific number, and depending on Kite's aura, Nen and will, his Crazy Slot ability will determine what weapon is needed. And the weapon number 3 Kite was dealt before his death helped the will of Kite to live on, facilitating his rebirth as Meruem's twin sister. However, in this video I'm going to actually explain how that all happened. Yes, the full process on how exactly Kite was able to survive on, and clarify how the hell did Kite reborn as a Chimera Ant. But before I dive into this, I'm going to have to let you in for an awesome update. Our sponsors Anime Ryo have included Hunter x Hunter shirts in their clothing collection, so if you guys want to purchase great quality anime shirts, jumpers and other accessories, then make sure to check out Anime Ryo. They are also offering a 10% discount on literally everything with the discount code ABD Squad. You guys will get a pretty sweet deal, and at the same time you'll be helping out in supporting this channel. With all that out the way, let's cue the intro. Okay, so now before we answer this question on how did Kite manage to survive and reborn as Meruem's twin sister, and more importantly as a Chimera Ant, you guys will need to understand the main concept of how Chimera Ants are created in the first place. So let's get into that. Well, just like ants from our world, the Chimera Ants can only be spawned from the queen ant, but unlike regular ants, Chimera Ants do not reproduce in the conventional way. In fact, the Chimera Ant queen possesses a very unique method of reproduction known as Phagogenesis, which is a term meaning reproduction through consumption or devouring, basically by eating other creatures. The Chimera Ant queen can impart the characteristics of ingested creatures onto the next generation of the Chimera Ants she gives birth to. It is said that she can produce up to 5 ants with one meal. This form of reproduction allows fast-paced evolution of the Chimera Ant species. As the queen feeds on larger complex beings, she is able to take advantage of the gene of that particular species and embed it into their own genetic makeup. Chimera ants are known to feed until the fodder species is driven to extinction in its ecosystem, but this is just simply the result from the instinctive desire for Chimera ants to survive as the strongest predator around. Due to all of this, each generation of Chimera ants are strongly different from the one that preceded it, and even individual ants from the same generation displays a profound genetic difference, where these differences can actually be seen by the unique appearance of each Chimera ant. The uniqueness are usually displayed by the combination of characteristics from the eaten species along with the usual Chimera features. It is also possible for genes from multiple species to be mixed in the same ant. And thanks to this unique method of reproduction of the species, Chimera ant soldiers often inherit advantageous traits of the fodder species the queen consumed. Now, humans in particular are known to be extremely nutritious form of food for the Chimera ant queen, and if the prey in question be humans, the resulting ant will be more intelligent than the one born from wild animals, where the human ant hybrid would be stronger, have the ability to talk, learn and operate machinery such as firearms, and even have the potential to use Nen.
This is delicious and so nutritious. The best fodder. I must consume more of this species.
My queen.
Oh. You can speak, can you?
Yes, my queen, so that I may fully receive, understand, and execute your orders.
That pleases me. In that case, I hereby assign you to be a squadron leader.
I am most grateful.
Now then, your first mission will be to lead all the soldiers here to capture my food. I want you to capture more of those highly nutritious organisms.
Okay, so now with that, I hope I was able to explain the ant's reproductive process known as phagogenesis. But just to clarify, only the queen Chimera Ant is able to use this reproductive ability. The Chimera Ant soldiers do not possess this ability. However, it is said that they do have the potential for reproduction through mating with other species. The queen's unique ability in producing soldiers apparently evolved after eating humans. In the first stage, she was only able to give her offspring intelligence when they are born. Then later she began producing clothes to eat soldiers as they are born. And once again, after a while, her offspring such as the royal guards were born with Nen. So the reasoning that the later generation being able to reproduce sexually does kind of make sense, as when humans become the main source of food for the ant queen, her offspring slowly starts to become more like them. Now before I move on to Kite, there is still one more thing that you guys need to understand. It is shown throughout the series that the Chimera Ants born with human genes have the ability to remember situations that happened to the individual whose genetic material they ended up inheriting. In other words, at times they feel as though they are identical to the human their gene was extracted from, almost as a rebirth, so to say. These memories allow them to inherit cognitive communication right after they were born, so they didn't have to go through the learning curve to speak the local language. The personality of the human the ant queen fed on also lingers on, allowing the spawn to recall certain memories and characteristics the fodder human once had before it was devoured. Some of the Chimera Ants even have the capability of remembering everything from the former human's past, such as their human names to the emotional attachment they once had. However, it is different for each Chimera Ant, as only some are capable of this while others only feel it within their subconscious. Koala's belief was that this was possible due to the human soul or a part of it surviving through the process of phagogenesis, and having a strong will as a human being makes it more likely for one to be reborn as a Chimera Ant. A good example of this is with the Chimera Ant cult, or as pronounced in Japanese, Kuroto. Kuroto or cult was formed via phagogenesis by the consumption of the human boy Kurt, who died trying to protect his sister. Cult, although completely devoted and loyal to the queen, he showed human-like characteristics similar to his past life. He has even shown the emotion of love which he had towards the queen. This emotion is completely different that of subjection, and after the queen's death, Cult took it upon himself to bring up her daughter as his own, and even decided on naming her. Cult named her Reina, which is more than likely due to his human's memory of Kurt's sister, who was also named Reina. However, as Reina grew, Kite's memory returned, and Reina starts referring to herself once again as Kite. So now, knowing all of this, including the reproduction process known as phagogenesis, and if you watched the last video, knowing how Kite's crazy slot ability works, you can pretty much answer the question of how Kite was reborn as a Chimera Ant for yourself. But just in case, I'll break it down for you a little further. As mentioned by Ging Priest in chapter 335 of the Hunter x Hunter manga, Kite possesses the ability known as How Could I Die Like This, which is a special mode of his Crazy Slot number 3 weapon, or possibly just Crazy Slot itself. Either way, because he was able to activate this ability, Kite's soul, consciousness and will wasn't able to be killed, instead it lingered around his brain. It is later assumed that Pitto fed the queen's Kite's brain, and possibly his other internal organs, which can explain the stitches and scars left on Kite's body, face and head. And after consuming Kite's brain, which still possessed the very much alive soul of Kite, the queen through phagogenesis tried to embed it into the process to birth the king. However, due to Kite's soul and consciousness still being intact, the phagogenesis wasn't able to utilize the remains of Kite properly as it had a will of its own. This ended up influencing a split to the reproduction of the perfect king with a twin. The twin technically has features of another human, specifically a red-haired little girl who was killed by Koala and then fed to the queen ant. However, due to the girl having very little will of her own before she was killed, her memories and soul did not remain. This allowed Kite's soul and consciousness to attach itself to the rest of the other ingested human within the queen ant chimera. So there you have it. I hope I was able to clarify how Kite was able to reborn as a Chimera Ant and as Meruem's twin sister. If you guys did learn something and enjoyed this video, then make sure to smash that like button. Hopefully we'll be covering more Hunter x Hunter in the near future, so stay tuned by subscribing and hit that notification bell. Anyway guys, with all of that, I'll see you guys till next time.